Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be filming how I edit my Instagram photos. This video is going to specifically talk about how I edit my iPhone photos. If I'm editing my SLR photos, I will use Lightroom. So one day I'm sure I'll make a video on how I edit the photos that I take on my camera versus my iPhone. But yes, today we're talking about how I edit my iPhone photos. I will put a quick little disclaimer. I'm not one who believes you need an Instagram theme. Everybody uses Instagram differently. I personally use it as a extension of my creativity. I like to obviously show what I am doing, any trips I've been on, but I also try to promote similar themes that I promote here on my YouTube channel. I am in love with nature, so you will find a lot of that on my Instagram. I also promote my YouTube videos a lot on Instagram because when I'm filming a YouTube video, I normally am taking pictures as well. So my Instagram is all sorts of stuff. You could say it has a theme in a way because I like to take the same steps when editing my photos a lot of times. Obviously, some require a different mood than others, and if I'm trying to portray that mood, I will do it with editing. So that is something to keep in mind, that I do not edit my photos to all look the same. I just like a lot of the same filters. I like the look it gives. Sometimes I switch it up depending on what photo I'm posting, what mood I want the photo to have, but these are the steps that I take for my iPhone photos to get them to look how they do. So for editing, I use Visco, and we are just going to go over how I edit these top 3 photos today. So for this first one, I'm just showing you the filters I like to use. The most common one I use is A6, but sometimes I'll use AL3 and sometimes I'll use C5. And if you click on the filter again, it'll pop up the screen where you can set the opacity or how much of the filter is applied to your photo. Then I'll go into the second tab, and that has everything like saturation, contrast, exposure, everything like that. So I always adjust the skin tone. I like to go to the negative side because it makes your photo a bit more pink. Then I go into white balance, and most of the time I go to the positive side of the temperature to make it warmer, and I'll go to the positive side of tint to make it a bit more pink as well. You'll see this theme in a lot of the photos I edit. I like them to have a slightly pink tint. And I went into saturation, but I don't always add saturation. It honestly depends on the photo if it looks a bit dull to me. You'll also notice I go back and forth a lot because once I added the saturation, I noticed that it was a bit too orange of my skin tone. So I went back into the white balance and I got rid of some of that warmth temperature that I added before. And going into HSL, you can target every single color in the photo and adjust the hue, saturation, and lightness. This is great for adjusting the skin tone with the orange and yellow most of the time. A lot of the times I target the green and bring the saturation slightly down because I like my greens to be a bit darker, and adding that lightness up to the yellow lightened some parts of my skin tone. And holding down on the photo with your finger, it shows you the before and after. So I'm pretty pleased with how this one turned out. So we are done with this one and we can move on to the next. And on to the next photo, I'm moving a bit quickly because I'm showing you this 3 times. So you'll see the same steps with each photo. And on this one, I added the A6 filter again at full opacity. Then I went into temperature, adding some positive warmth and the pink tint, adding in some saturation, negative skin tone to the pink again. Those 3 steps go by very quickly because it's what I do to pretty much every photo. Then we go into the nitty-gritty. Like for this one, I'll add some contrast. And in the HSL, I really play around with the saturation, hue, and lightness. I don't always know what I'm going to like for these nature photos, but for this one, I'm liking a bit more saturation to the orange. You can see it's adjusting my sweater and the center of these daisies. The yellow is really affecting the petals, so I can really decide whether I want the petals to be a bit more green yellow or a bit more pink yellow. I really just play around with it, go back and forth between each color, the greens. There's some purple flowers in the background, so you'll see me play with that. It's a lot of just playing around until you get the color scheme that you like. After messing with the HSL, it's a bit too orange in my opinion, so I'm adding some cool tones back into that temperature bar or going to the negative side, because that brings some color back into the background of this photo and the greens and my skin tone. And clicking on that before and after, I like how it turned out, so that is this photo done. Now I included this last photo because it's going to be a bit trickier since it is just an iPhone landscape, and the photo itself is pretty much 3 colors: the color of the sky, the trees, and the hill. So we added that A6, and now I'm going into the contrast tab to add some contrast on the positive side, adding saturation to the positive side, and then going in, adding positive tint to make it pink, adding positive temperature to make it more orange. Negative to the skin tone to add in that pink, and then the HSL because I want the orange in the hill to be a bit more pink. So I'm going to be adjusting that yellow and the orange tab for this. And again, I always go back and forth like this. I didn't pre-edit these photos, so you're watching me figure it out live. And the last couple touches will be adjusting that saturation again, and then going back into the white balance and adjusting the temperature and the tint. I adjusted the temperature to add a bit more blue into the photo, and the tint to add a bit more pink. And you can click on it again to see the before and after, but that is this photo done. And the last thing I do is in the Instagram app when I'm about to post, sometimes I will add a little bit of the Ludwig filter or the Juno filter. And in that warmth tab, I add a little bit of warmth or coolness to my photo. Also with the highlights, sometimes I like to up the highlights. And those are the steps that I take to edit my iPhone photos: the A6 filter on the VSCO app, and sometimes adding a few more touches on the Instagram app once I'm done with VSCO. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Let me know if you want me to talk about how I edit my Lightroom photos and any other apps that I use for Instagram, for my Instagram stories, all that stuff. Make sure that you subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so that you know every time I upload a new video. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.